Hey guys, Twister here, and in today's video we're going to be discussing the playoff grid for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. I will be showing you my bracket and how I have it filled out as we go through this video. So in the first round, you have the tracks of Las Vegas, Richmond, and Charlotte. Now, I think this first round is pretty easy to decide who's not going to make it, as I'll put my round of 12 up there. Right now, as you can see, the drivers I have being eliminated are Bowman, Johnson, Almirola, and Dillon. Those are probably their four expected ones. My reasonings behind this are Bowman and Johnson have not run amazing at any point this season. Had a few good finishes, but nothing outstanding. Now, one of them could be a surprise and pull through to the round of 12. I just don't see it happening. Almirola, at the beginning of the season, I thought he could definitely make the round of 8. But that team has really fell off a cliff during the summer months with some pretty poor finishes. So I just think they're not going to get through to the round of 12, being at a disadvantage playoff point-wise. And then Austin Dillon, not much to say there. RCR could surprise. They have been running better these past few weeks, but I just don't see him making it through either. So now on to the round of 12, which is going to have Dover, Talladega, and Kansas. Now these drivers I do think will pretty easily make it in, unless the Charlotte Roval causes a bunch of chaos, which it could. It definitely could. I think that's more of a wild card than what Talladega will be. But anyways, this round is where it becomes difficult to decide who goes to the round of 8 and who doesn't, as I'll show my round of 8 now. Alright, so you'll see drivers that have being eliminated are Hamlin, Jones, Blaney, and Kurt Busch. My reasoning behind this is I feel like Jones is a pretty safe bet. Now, he definitely could make the round of 8. That team has been on fire since these summer months, especially after his win in Daytona. But I just don't know about them getting through these 3 races. I feel like Talladega is definitely going to shake things up. But he definitely could move through. But I just feel like it's the second year in the playoffs. It's not going to happen. Now, probably the surprises here, I mean, all these drivers are probably fairly surprised depending on how people view it. Blaney has not been running well as of late compared to the other Penske cars. So I just don't think he's going to be able to pull it off. He's only had 2 top 5 finishes since April, which is crazy. So I just don't think he's going to go through, especially with the lack of playoff points adding to that. Now, Kurt Busch and Hamlin were actually the hardest ones for me to not put into the round of 8 compared to drivers that I did put in there. Hamlin has a lot of experience, but no wins this season really hurts, and very inconsistently running. He always practices, qualifies well, and they never perform in the race. This last week at Indianapolis was the first time where they did well in practice, qualifying, and in the race. And he probably should have. He probably had the best car during that race. If not, it was Clint Boyer then. But I just feel like that team is still not all together. And with the uncertainty of Talladega, with no real playoff points to back him, I just don't feel like he's going to get through to the round of 8. And Kurt Busch, the team has been very consistent all season. But, you know, they have playoff points, which is why I almost put them in the round of 8 instead of Larson. It was mainly between Busch, Hamlin, Larson, who have put in that final spot in the round of 8. And I gave the slight edge to Larson because he ran good at Kansas, he can run good at restrictor plates, and he ran okay at Dover. And I just feel like his team is going to kick it up a notch, but they may end up disappointing as they did last year and get kicked out in the round of 12. But I feel like this year they'll push through and get by. But that pick is very uncertain for me. You could probably switch any of the names I eliminated and put them into that last spot. The rest of the 7 I feel like pretty positive are going to make it through. Now, as we move on to the round of 8, we'll feature Martinsville, Texas, and ISM Raceway with the new configuration. Mind that. And now I will show you my championship 4. My championship 4 will be Kyle Busch, Harvick, Keselowski, and Elliott. And then you'll notice that there's no Truex in this championship 4. Well, a good reason to that. While almost all these drivers can run well at all 3 of these tracks, I want to point out Truex's team has not been doing very good. The team won't even exist at the end of the playoffs this year. And I just think that uncertainty is only going to carry them through the round of 8. He's pretty much locked with playoff points, but I feel like in the round of 8, there's going to be several people behind him end up winning a race because they're definitely incapable, and the playoff points just aren't going to matter as much if that team just can't get it together. Now, they could get it together and be a championship 4, but I'm not seeing it. Logano has been very consistent all year, but have they been showing winning speed? Not really. They definitely have top 5, top 7 speed, but that's not going to get you through to the championship 4, especially when Kyle Busch and Harvick are basically locks, and I anticipate another driver probably winning, which brings me into Keselowski, why he is in there, which may be a surprise. I feel like that team, with the momentum of the past 2 weeks of wins, they got some stage points now. I feel like Keselowski is probably going to win at one of these 3 tracks and get himself into championship 4. He is very good at Martinsville, good at Texas, good at ISM. I think he'll get through with a win. Now, of course, you also have Kyle Busch and Harvick, which one of them will probably win one of these races, if not sweep all 3. It is possible, but I feel like Keselowski will move through. Now, probably the surprise here is Chase Elliott. People probably thinking, Truex, Keselowski, Logano, Boyer, even maybe Larson would have all made more sense than put Chase in there. But his team was, before Indianapolis, had like 6 consecutive top 10 finishes, and then they definitely had top 10 speed at Indianapolis, and then restarts, poor strategy call, cost them the top 10 spot. And if they did what they did last year, that team kicked it on another gear during the playoffs, and Chase is very good at Martinsville, Texas, and ISM. And he arguably should have won Martinsville, almost won at ISM last year, and he's solid at Texas. I just think that he's going to be able to make it through. The only thing that could keep him is the lack of playoff points, but he has 8, which is okay amount. And now I'm going to move on to Larson, which that team has been good, but they're not the 2017 42 team that we saw last year. It's just not the same team with their performance. Unless they kick it up on another gear, this is the farthest I think we see Larson go. Now, if Larson does make it to Homestead, he could win the championship. I just don't see that happening, though. And finally, which you've all been waiting for, is who is my champion going to be? And surprise, surprise, it's going to be Kyle Busch. Now, I was torn between him and Harvick because they both have ran well recently at Homestead. And if you put the past few years, Harvick's been a little bit more consistent. But last year, Busch almost beat Truex at Homestead to win a championship. And I just think that 18 team is going to put it together, and they're going to win their second championship. It just seems like everything's going to fall into place, and it would make sense. Nothing against Keselowski or Elliott, but those teams have not been the best this season. And this whole playoff thing is kind of already a gimmick. I'm not going to go into that. So it just seems right that Busch would win the championship after being the regular season champion like Truex did last year. It just makes sense to me. I think he'll win it. I think he'll win Homestead, and Harvick will finish second. I think it's going to be that close between those two. I think Busch will just edge out Harvick slightly. All right, so that is my thoughts on the playoffs. Then what you guys think in the comments below. Do you agree, disagree with my picks or reasoning? I'm very curious to see what you guys think. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.